Are you ready to do a deep dive in forming your emergency management planning team, or circle as I like to call them? If so, grab your pen because we're going to look through this multi-layer step in the planning process to make sure that you start off the planning process on the right foot, get everyone involved, and start developing something that embeds in your organization for future planning. So within the emergency management planning steps, step one is all about forming that circle, engaging with partners, starting to figure out roles and responsibilities, governance, and we want to make it flexible. So if you don't have a core circle, core group that represents the diversity of your nation, you're not going to get started right, because you're going to start to miss data and information, even perspectives that could be crucial to a response or an evacuation or disaster recovery. So within your main circle, you want to include, some nation staff, maybe managers or directors from public works, housing, health, education, even community services. You want to include essential rights holders, maybe the RCMP, whoever in your community is critical or, considered essential to providing you goods, services, things like that for all members. You want to get them at the table and see if, one, they can participate, and if they can't, maybe they can assign someone from their organization to help. This includes the federal government, Parks Canada, even the province or territory that you might be situated within. You want to get into defining roles and responsibilities with everyone, because you want to ensure that every member of the circle, they understand your position, their own duties, and those of the other participants in the circle. And it's always a good idea to map these out and make sure that everybody has a copy of who's who, with contact information, email addresses, their role, their organization, their job title, and their role within the planning circle. This is like the very first thing you want to do, because if everyone doesn't know each other, you're not going to develop those critical relationships. Schedule and communicate effectively. And this comes down to even let people know about meeting times well in advance, get them the location well in advance, solicit preferred dates and time slots, circulate expectations. If you do have some sort of budget, let them know. And if there's any project constraints that you need to implement before the first session, include that. And that could be things like maybe people or members from the nation can't travel outside, or there's constraints put on you by chief and council that require meetings to take place in the nation. And if people have to travel in, food is going to be provided through, people in the community that can provide that, and that they're going to get honorariums, things like that. You want to make sure that everyone understands the schedule, the planning rhythm, and how you're going to communicate with them. So even asking participants, do they prefer email, phone call, or text? Very important. Governance is critical, and you want to set the right tone to this initial planning circle, because you want to reinforce that you, as the lead planner, have the backing of chief and council, senior leadership. So something I suggest is have chief and council, or maybe a counselor representative for emergency management, have them endorse the meeting agenda. Have them even maybe, if you're lucky enough, attend the first 5 minutes of the meeting to introduce themselves, set the tone. Have them maybe, if they can't attend, write a quick message and have them sign it. And that's something you can pass around and people can take back to their organizations to show that the nation is committed and that this is a priority. So you want to secure that executive presence. And that can even be done through showing them a band council resolution, because as we explain in the design of emergency management programs, having that band council resolution or bylaw in place is really important. Actively involve elders, youth, members, and business owners. Even if they're not in the planning circle, the core one, you still want to actively capture diverse needs. You want to better understand the resources that you have access to, and you want to get their perspectives, especially if you have on reserve or in nation businesses, whether it's a store, a rental company, even operators, heavy equipment operators, plumbers, tradespeople that do all their own work in the community. Get them at the table through some engagement and get their perspectives, concerns, and thoughts early on. Creating sub-circles, and through your engagement, this is where maybe you can solicit for volunteers or help, but you want to create sub-circles to handle portions of work. You want to be able to give them clear milestones and timelines while letting members in the circles meet at convenient times. It's a balance, but it's very possible. And the way I like to run these circles is every sub-circle has a lead, and every sub-circle has a liaison. And even the main planning circle has a lead and a liaison. So what I recommend to help with communication and accountability is the sub-circle, that lead reports up to the main core planning circle, and the main core planning liaison will bring information back down to the sub-circle. So the lead is reporting into the main circle, the liaison's coming back down. That allows the sub-circle lead to not have to kind of be that one back and forth. And it allows the liaison from the main circle to kind of bring their perspective and how that reporting went down. And it gives an opportunity for the sub-circle to give feedback that liaison can take back up. So it's not always going through the lead, which can, make it a little bit more difficult and awkward. And it just enhances the flow of communication. So try to set that up if you can. If you can, it's not critical. Every nation and community is different, but you want to set up a structure that is flexible, allows maximum participation. And one tip that I'll go a little bit off script here, but I like to kind of run groups where if the sub-circle or circle does not provide consent to undertake an activity or project, then it doesn't move forward. And I like consent better than agreement, because you could have 8 out of 10 agree and do a democratic vote, but you're always going to have a couple people who may not agree with the way forward. What you want to do is you want to get the consent of every single person in the circle to moving forward with a decision, activity, or project. And if they don't consent to it, then they have to pitch to the circle why they don't think the activity or project or goal is achievable or manageable or relevant or even adequate. So strive to have everyone give consent to move forward. If they can't, have them pitch as to why they think that you can't move forward with that. And once you get the consent of everyone to move forward, it creates a little bit more of a safe space as well. Leverage external facilitation when needed. This one, if you find that the members in the core circle are not able to get along, or you want to just kind of move through things a little bit more quickly, bring in someone who can mediate disputes, foster open, candid dialogue among the circle members and the community. And sometimes it is easier to do this with a third party, and it can be someone who's not been involved with the nation, or it could be maybe asking someone who's not in the circle, another manager that has facilitation experience, to come in and do this. But having that third-party facilitator can bring more focus, because I find sometimes as a planning lead, it can be really hard to separate yourself from, ideas and brainstorming and decision, because you have some personal investment in it. But if you're able to do that, then lead the facilitation yourself. Lastly, you want to treat the steps that I've just gone through in step 1 as a repeatable workflow and a routine. You want to mirror this process every incident, post-incident, to ensure continuity and shared learning, because if you can get into this rhythm of forming a collaborative team or collaborative planning circles, and you use them for post incident review, exercise evaluation, whatever it is that you need to be ready for, it's going to help make it more repeatable. You'll get into a rhythm, and then it becomes part of your organization's culture, which is absolutely critical to, being better prepared and moving forward. So those are the 8 layers within the very first step of the planning process. Again, if you like this video and you find value in it, please like, share, and comment so others like you can find it. And as you move along, watch out for the other videos that we have on the next 5 steps in the emergency management planning process. Thanks for joining us at HazardScape. You can subscribe to our YouTube and find our ad-free training videos by becoming a supporter on Patreon with a network of other Indigenous peoples looking to make their communities safer. And remember, know your HazardScape and be prepared.